Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a roller coaster of a day, was it not? And for those who missed out on it, we sold off hard on economic data, which I will show you in just a second, in certain sectors, I guess you could say. But what was crazy is what was actually green today, and it was extremely green today. I don't know if you noticed it, and it wasn't just the high beta stuff. So I'm going to show you all that right there. And something happened today, which I told you in Saturday's video to watch out carefully for, okay? And today it happened again, I guess second or third time in the last 7 trading days. And I apologize for my voice. There will be many coughs that I will edit out of this video for you guys. But I have to do 2 videos today. So I'll do a members video on Tuesday, Thursday. So it's my second video today. And I edit out many coughs in that video. So hopefully by tomorrow I'll be good to go. I'm hoping. But the data that sent this thing, that sent the S&P and then Nasdaq spiraling down, was the hot retail data. Right, came in 0.7, expected 0.3. Then we had retail sales ex auto 0.6 versus expected 0.2. And so the market did not like that, because what that means is the Fed has to hold higher for longer because the consumer is still strong. And what happens? This is what you got to look for. The spikes in the yields. Remember, it's how fast they move. That's what spooks the market and stuff, right? That was the 10-year. Look at the 2-year. The 2-year didn't even bother us at the end of the day to start selling off. This thing just kept going. And what's crazy about the 2-year, I really talk about it, you got to go all the way back now to 2006. That's the level it is at now, and it's about to eclipse. And so, I mean, just look to the right over there. That was like a meme stock chart, right? I mean, that thing is just, rocketing up. The 10-year, the 30-year. And of course, this is, not good normally for stocks or the market in general. But what's crazy is, look what was green, right? The Cathie Wood stocks, the high beta stocks, your crypto stocks, all that stuff is sitting there green, when normally it would be red on a day like today. Then you go over to small caps. Russell 2000 was just blistering. It almost went up 2% for the day. You can just see, I mean, they were way up on these small caps. I just scrolled through it for you, which, of course, a high rate environment is terrible for. But they said, oh, but the sales data is great for the Russell 2000 stocks, right? Because it has a lot of different types of smaller stores in there. And that can be true. I absolutely agree with that premise, if that's what they want to try to sell us on. I just say it's just beat down. And, of course, they rotated some money into it out of the mega caps. Now, what is high rates and high yields going to do? Well, speaking of smaller companies, their interest payments are likely to increase to around 7% of the revenues by 2024, then gradually rising to around 8% as long as rates stay high, which of course will not be good for Russell 2000 stocks and other types of smaller companies. And I'm just curious, are any of you guys in this so-called 18% here? Like, I would never do this, but I'm just curious. It says a record 17.5% of buyers purchasing a new car in the third quarter are paying more than $1,000 a month for their vehicle. This is up 10% from 3 years ago. But I'm just like, I know cars are expensive. I know the rates are high and everything else. But are any of you guys actually paying over $1,000 a month for this? And before we continue, guys, please hit that like button there at the bottom. Give it a thumbs up. Helps people find the video. And if you like this kind of content, think about subscribing. I appreciate all you guys' support. And definitely, please let me know in the comments if you are, and what kind of car are you driving when you're paying over $1,000 a month. I'm just curious. I'm sure most of us are, actually. Now, what's 2 things that run the market, right? Especially in this market we're in now. The algos obviously run the market, but what do they look for? They look for liquidity, right? To fill these orders. What else is going to run it? It's going to be options flow. I've showed you many times, okay? And you got to understand how big this market is getting. Futures used to be the thing, right? And I'm actually, taking courses on how to do futures myself, because I think it has a lot of tax benefits and it's a lot easier, hopefully, in the long run. But just look at futures versus options going back to 2013. Like, futures were bigger going all the way up through about 2020. And then all of a sudden, there is your options. They just took off, and 0DTE keeps making up a larger percentage on basically a weekly basis now. And when you look, why do I bring this up? Look at this right here. At 12:30ish, somewhere in there today, you saw call selling going on for the SPYs and the Qs. Why is that important? Well, look what happened right there. Right around 12:30ish. Boom. That's when you get your sell off. They had bought the calls in the morning. That's what did the reversal right after they grabbed liquidity. And so that's why it's important. I'm going to show you another example of this just a second. But the IWM, of course, had a huge day. I think it was up like 1.8% at one point in time. And I showed you the individual stocks. And again, it has a graveyard of gaps above it to fill if it does start to finally move up. But again, that demand zone below it's been holding for a long time, and it continues to hold. And so we'll see if more money rotates in the small caps because they've been beaten down, and maybe just for a fourth quarter run or whatever. We'll have to see, but you can see all this resistance right here, right? I mean, it's not an accident it hit that resistance right there. You can see on the volume profile and started to sell down. That's not an accident, okay? But we'll see if more money maybe starts rotating out of the Qs a little more and into these small caps. It's something to pay attention to. Now, Apple, this was a big one, right? It's still in this falling wedge. It started off red for the day, and it had a really, really good reason for being red. And if this was any other stock, it would have been down anywhere from 6 to 8% easy. But of course, what do you got going on? Apple CEO Tim Cook makes surprise visits to China because iPhone 15 sales aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. And you can see they lose the top spot to China. Thank you for somebody pointing this out to me yesterday or last night. I appreciate it. And what you see happening in China is the growth is actually coming from Android, not the iPhone. And so Apple's iPhone has seen a significant double-digit decline, and its volume growth year over year has been negative. Now, of course, why else is this important? Why he's on that private jet, I'm sure, very quickly, is because China makes up almost 20% of its revenue, and it makes 95% of Apple's products. So they absolutely own Tim Cook. That's why you never hear Apple speak out about anything negative when it comes to China and what they do. And they can't because they make all their stuff. They make up 1/5 of their revenue. So, of course, he's going to be on that trip to China. And we'll see what comes of it. Again, if it was any other stock, probably be down double digits, to be honest with you. But it's Apple. And then we have Tesla here. You can see big gap down in the morning like most stocks. It recovered very quickly. Ended up turning that trend line we added on here about 3 days ago into support, which is a good thing. The next one, line of resistance, is going to be up there around 258-ish. But as we pan out, what you can see say today was that trend line, which has bounced off up multiple times. And let me go to the daily instead of the weekly here. You can see what I'm talking about. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be the 6th time it's bounced off of it now. And the truth is, none of those lines mean anything because they have earnings after the bell tomorrow. Please put in the bottom. Do you think this stock is going to pop or drop? And whichever way, I can't imagine it going flat. But again, the bar is low, so let me know. Now, the other example I was going to talk about with the call flow or the options flow was NVIDIA. And you see millions of dollars in call sweeps hitting the tape right around 10:09 when we got the alert here. So probably happened around 10 o'clock if you think about it. And that's just a few of them. And then when you go to the chart, what do you see? Right there, around 10 o'clock, boom, hits the bottom and just takes off, right? And this thing was down to 424, I believe was the bottom of the day, and ended up having a nice recovery for the sell-off. I mean, almost a 5% move for that mega cap. So congratulations to anybody that caught that bottom. Now, when you look at it, it's obviously falling out of that wedge pattern we talked about with the huge sell-off. Again, nice recovery. I still want to see if his head and shoulders is going to play out, if that's going to end up being the right shoulder. We'll see what happens. I know it's NVIDIA. I get it. Everybody's screaming at the phones right now. And, we'll see. But make sure you pay close attention to it because that trend line right there, which we've seen, it was resistance for quite a while. We'll see if it all of a sudden becomes resistance again. And another reason this is important because of AMD. If NVIDIA goes down, AMD goes right along with it. And you can see on that falling wedge when it broke out of it, again, that upward trend line, we keep it in place now because what it became support today. That's usually happened. I think we've seen it multiple times. And it's still stuck in between these anchored VWAPs right here, one from the high of 2023 and then one from the low of 2023. Now, when we go over to Netflix, I told you they love to have drama, right? These cliffhangers. And there it is. They report earnings after the bell tomorrow. There it is sitting right on the bottom of this falling channel right here below the 200. Will it end up breaking? Put your thoughts in the comments. Is it going up or down? Now, China, they're pulling out all the stops, man. I mean, you can see the equities have absolutely been just nuked. Actually, the last 3 years, to be honest with you. Look at this thing. I mean, that is terrible. What was crazy, though, is the Chinese stocks were red again today. And the reason why I was really surprised about that was because there was a report that came out of China that said they were going to cut down on short selling. And so China is tightening curbs on short selling activities as authorities step up efforts to shore up a struggling stock market. Hedge funds wishing to short sell a stock must hold 100% of the value of the transaction in their account, while other investors need to have at least 80%. And so you would think that would absolutely make the stock screen. They usually pop on this kind of news, but it did not. So we'll see what else they come up with to try to stabilize these stocks. Now, tomorrow you got a lot of earnings going on, right? ASML, P&G, Morgan Stanley, Abbott, more regional banks are going to be reporting. Then you had the big daddies, Tesla and Netflix will be after hours. You also have Alcoa and Discover. Again, more regional banks. And then when it comes to economic data, you have a lot of mortgage data coming out, pre-market, the building permits, a lot about the real estate industry, okay? Then afterwards, stuff about oil, which nobody's going to care about when compared to the other stuff. A bunch of Fed speakers, and then this is the one, I never thought I'd say it again, but here we are. The 20-year bond auction at 1 o'clock, which I'll definitely tell members how that one goes. Because for those who are new to the channel and didn't see any of my other videos, last week there was a 30-year bond auction. It came in really weak, which means demand was low, right? So they had to increase the yields to get people to actually buy these things. And so if the 20-year does that, guess what's going to happen? Same thing happened last week. Yields are going to spike. Stocks are going to sell off. All right, that's just the way it is. And remember, we're in October. I said it yesterday, said it Friday, I'll say it again. Extremely volatile, the most volatile month of the year. You're seeing how many days now has it been where you're seeing these huge 1% swings, right? Dip buyers keep coming in, keep buying it up and buying it up and buying it up, and you'll have another intraday move that goes down, and earnings are actually coming in better than expected. I put them in our morning news brief, all the companies that are worth looking at, and they are beating usually top and bottom line, and even some of them are raising guidance, and so it's better than what people expected. Again, you're not having this earnings apocalypse that's been being called on for like a year now. It still ain't happening yet. We'll have to see how the big mega caps, right, play out though, because their valuations are way up here, as I showed you in Saturday's video, right? And these other, like the small caps, are in the gutter. And so, and the high beta stuff, like the ARK Invest stocks, again, have been beaten down. And so that's why you look to see them start to rotate, if you see weakness in the mega caps earnings calls, into these other stocks, right? And so that's what could happen. That's why you got to pay attention to that. The other thing was, make sure you pay attention to those equal weight ETFs, right? As I told the members in the video, what happened today? Those equal weight ETFs easily outperformed the SPY and the QQQ, right? And so that's happening more now than it ever has been in the last year and a half. So again, it's something to pay attention to. It does show a sign of maybe there's some rotation coming out from the big money, and we just got to pay close attention to it, which means I'll pay attention to it for you. And again, I apologize for my voice. Hopefully it is back to normal tomorrow. Please hit the like, subscribe button if you got anything out of it. I really appreciate it and all your patience. And I will see you guys tomorrow.